Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video here. Today I want to talk about an event I went to this past weekend, and it's for the, I think it's called the BGS, I believe it's what it's called. It's for Vanguard, and it took place in, or BCS, I should say. So it's the event that took place in Pasadena this past weekend, and it's kind of like an event for Bushiroad to hold events for, I believe, Vanguard Standard, Weiss, Vanguard Premium, and Shadowverse. So those are like the main events that they were hosting every day. I guess it's equivalent to, I suppose, a YCS or a kind of a nationals. I'm not too sure what it is equivalent to other card games. But yeah, that's the event I went to this past weekend. I attended the event for on Sunday, which is for Vanguard and Shadowverse, because those are the two main games I play when it comes to pre-show games. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about my experience there, and how well I did, and you know obviously you see my Vanguard deck here, so it's a pretty obvious choice what game I played this weekend. Yeah, so I played Premium, Vanguard Premium. I was debating on playing Shadowverse, but I wasn't feeling too confident with my deck because it's quite outdated. I haven't really kept up too much with Shadowverse, and so I just wanted, I thought I would just go play Vanguard instead, just because I felt more confident in my deck. This deck hasn't really changed all that much since the last time I profiled it to you guys. But I played this deck. I had fun with it, playing with my friends. So yeah, I wanted to take a shot in the dark and go play Vanguard Premium this weekend. So overall, I think I did pretty well. I came into the event knowing very little about the meta. I don't really keep up with Vanguard per se. I just play with my friends and whatever decks they have laying around. So I only have one deck, obviously. I only have the Narukami deck here that I have. But yeah, I haven't played anything competitive wise when it comes to Vanguard. So came into the event pretty much blind. I barely knew any decks in the format. I didn't have any practice. I had played one game the night before we went to the event, and that was it. So that was about all the practice I had in the past, I don't know, 6 months or so, since I kind of played the game. So didn't really have any practice, didn't know what the meta decks were, and all I really knew was some of my how to play my deck. And even then, I kind of forgot how to play this deck because I forgot some of the effects and things like that. So I would say I was very ill prepared because, namely, I just wanted to go in there and have fun. I wasn't really looking to win anything. I wasn't really trying to prove myself or anything like that. My friends wanted to go play. They're a huge premium fan, and they wanted to go this weekend, so I just went to hang out with them. And like I said, I might have played Shadowverse, but I wasn't too confident in my deck, so I just took this in blind and played at the event. And lo and behold, I did surprisingly really well. And I ended up placing 35th out of, I think, 400 and something players. Um, so I think that's, I would say, pretty good, um, considering that I had very little practice and experience. And a lot of people would say this deck is not very meta at all. It's kind of fallen out of favor. For at least from what I've learned this weekend, crest decks are pretty good. So any decks that can abuse that is pretty much meta right now, and this deck, is outdated. The only thing I like about Premium is the fact that it's kind of an internal format, so you never really have to change your deck all that much. So I didn't really change the deck at all. I just went in blind and played, and surprisingly beat quite a few meta decks. And yeah, came out 35th. And yeah, let me show you guys my record. So it was 7 rounds of Swiss. I ended up going 5-2. So I did lose 2 games here. So if you look at my phone, let me try to find myself here. Yeah, so right there, I'm 35th, and my Mina Luce name there. So yeah, I did pretty well, um, considering all things, right? So I just want to talk about my experience, maybe some of the rounds I went through that I can remember. and profile my deck for you guys in case you wanted to see what I was playing. And yeah, I had a lot of fun this format or this event just because I just came in blind, just figuring out things as I went along, and played against a bunch of different people, and everyone was pretty cool. They're pretty chill and cool about it. No one was really um, cutthroaty and whatnot. And I told them straight up, like, I haven't played the game in a long time. If I get something wrong, just let me know, or if I had a wrong ruling or anything like that, right? Um, I was pretty open about that. I just told them I just came in for fun. If we played and I won, cool. If not, no hard feelings. Anyways, let's jump into the deck profile. Let's talk about that first, and then I'll go ahead and try to capture what I remember about the event and the decks that I played against. Um, and yeah, just to tell you guys, like, I don't remember any, like, I just remember what some of the decks did, but I don't remember the clan, any of the card names and stuff like that. So you're gonna just gotta bear with me, and I'm just gonna try to describe it as as best as I can, based on my memory. So, all right, let's go ahead and start with the grade zeros, right? Or at least grade zeros and the trigger. So I have my starter here. It's the good old Spark Dragoon Kid. This is the uneroded version, but basically, you just ride him, draw a card, and get a quick shield if you go second. So, not too much to say about that, right? So we have that over here. And as for the rest of the, let me see if the light looks a little bit better if I shine it that way. Yeah, it does look a little bit better. Okay, so we have here, we have 4 crits, right? 4 heal triggers, and basically we have 1 over trigger and 3, whatchamacallit, 3 perfect guard draw triggers. So pretty standard. I don't think there's anything too crazy about this lineup. I think it's pretty basic. The heal triggers can change out. I know some people play that snake girl thing. I forgot what she does, but I just like this one just because it has an effect that can help you if you're behind on grades and things like that. And it's a grade 3, so you can also pitch it for striding if you really are in a pinch. So that's why I like the heal grade 3s rather than using the other chick. And she's good in the sense that you can, I think what she does is unflips your or counterblast or countercharge, I forget the term, countercharges you, so that is an option. But I find that I didn't really need the countercharge all that much, so didn't really care too much. Probably one of the best crit triggers just because you can use it to pitch for a grade 3. Another good grade trigger here. Damage check, you draw a card. It's pretty good stuff. Then we have the over trigger. Not much to say about that. And then the perfect guard there. So I would say, pretty cookie cutter grade trigger lineup. Okay, so for the grade 1s here, we are playing 4 of the Natsuku, I think it's the name. 4 of Natsuku here. 4 Demolition Dragon. 2 different versions of Mighty Bolt. 1 Holony and 1 Elementaria Sanctitude, or whatever it's called. So I know this is a choice thing. So I decided to go with Demolition Dragon because there's really honestly not any other good grade 1s. And I didn't really want to dilute my grade 1s too much by playing other junk, I guess. So I stuck with Demolition Dragon just because I like riding him and attacking with him, potentially just drawing new cards. You have him behind your Vanguard or behind another good attacker, and he essentially just forces your opponent to guard. If they don't guard, you draw a card and you hit something in their graveyard. And if they're a graveyard reliant deck, they almost always have to guard this thing. So that's what I like about him. He actually helped me win, I think, my first game of the day, actually. And I'll talk about that in a bit here. Natsuku here, just good. Gets you your consistency, gets you your grade 3, grade 2. So you're almost never grade stuck. If you open this, open 2 copies, you can just call 1 to the rear, call 1 to the Vanguard, and keep digging. So you're almost never needing to G assist or anything like that. And then the Mighty Bolts, dig for grade threes, dig for your Vanquisher. I used this effect a few times just to get my Vanquisher and be able to ride it the first thing. So yeah, I think this lineup here is not bad. Um, and then we have the free grade or the free shield. So just one copy of this thing because I think that's all you can play. And then Holney, I never used it the entire time I was playing, probably because I honestly didn't know what I was doing. So if you know the meta better, you can definitely make use of this a little bit better. I didn't know what I was doing, so half the time I just pitch it for my perfect guard or pitch it to block. I never really actually put it out to play, and I felt like it also kind of hurts me a little bit because I do attack quite a bit, and so I just didn't really use it that well. But I figured I should at least have one in my deck in case I think I need it. So, all right, grade twos, uh, pretty standard here. Nothing too special. Um, this guy just gets you whatever you need. He's probably the best card to ride because you ride him and then you have Demolition Dragon behind him. Oh man, you're drawing two cards easily because you'll be hitting for 22k because I think on when he goes in the Vanguard circle he gets 5k, so he'll become basically 14 plus the 8 here and 22 to your I don't know to your opponent's Vanguard. They are damned if they block because they're probably burning a couple of cards, and they're damned if they don't block because then you're drawing two cards. So that's hence why this is like my favorite like setup right here. So yeah, Chol pretty good. If you have extra counterblasters that you just aren't using, then you can just toss him down. Bind a unit in the front row. He does become a threat later on when you get big numbers. If you go to exterminate and you pump this guy to 29 or even like 30k, and you swing with him, you attack with your Vanguard, restand him, and swing with him again. It does get pretty hard for your opponent to deal with. So I definitely think he is a good card to have. My opponent really will try to kill this guy when they see him if they can. Zoltan here, just good with Stunverse if you have him out and you Stunverse your opponent for like a few cards, 3 to 4 cards. He can gain 15 to 20k power, and yeah, just a big beater essentially, right? And then cool thing about him is you do use your soul quite a bit, so you're soul blasting quite a bit, and there's not really that many ways to, I would say, soul charge. So he's one of the few ways to go ahead and soul charge yourself if you needed to. I didn't really use that effect all that much, but it is there in case you do need it. But yeah, all right. Then for my grade 3 lineups, I have 2 Vanquisher, 2 Descendant, and 4 Eradicator. Vowing Sword Eradicator. Let me move this out of the way. So this particular event, I went first every single game. Even the ones I'd lost my die rolls to, my opponent would just let me go first. They wanted me to go first. I was like, okay, sure. And I rode him, I think I basically 5 out of 6 games I rode him. So there was 7 rounds. The first round I don't really count because the first round my opponent just gave me the win because he just wanted the promo and then he left after that. But yeah, of the 6 games I actually played, I rode him 5 out of the 6 times, and so going first too. So this really just kind of allowed me to push a far ahead when in card advantage, when I was able to kind of cheat out the turn 1 stride. So that was good for that. This guy, I'd honestly probably rather play Sweet Command, but I still like Demolition Dragon, and he's not that bad himself per se, but he's a lot weaker than Sweet Command. I think Sweet Command is just more generic. Sweet Command does more in the Vanguard or the Rearguard circle also. So that's just something to keep in mind there. But him plus Stunverse is pretty good, so a lot of the times that's what I was trying to do, just ride him and go into stun burst, blow up a couple cards, gain a bunch of powers around the board, and then try to attack for some big damage. Usually, one stun burst isn't enough to mostly clean up your opponent's board or put him behind, and then the turn after that, you can finish him off with Descent, or if you have enough damage and you have another Vowing Sword in the soul or on the board, you can also use his bottom effect here where you can restand your whole board and just attack and restand and attack. So I did that a few times too. So that's why I don't think he's like the worst main Vanguard, but also at the same time he doesn't do he's not as strong as he used to be. So that's just something to keep in mind there. Give me 1 second. Yeah, try to. Yeah, so then Descent here. Descent was just kind of a cool finisher. If not, I just toss him down on the rear guard just to nuke something or bind something, I guess. But yeah, I namely did ride him on top of Vowing Sword, and that just made a very strong combo. Especially, I pulled it off once where my opponent was just he was pretty, I guess, in a good shape, right? He was like maybe 2 or 3 damage in, and he went from like 2 to 3 damage to dead basically with Descendant, and I'll talk about that game a little bit later. All right, so that's for the main deck. And then as for the Stride deck here, we'll go ahead and go through that. We have the Harmonics here. Never used this thing because I never went second, so I never got the free Guardian Shield or the big old shield. So, but everyone had it. So everyone that went second, I believe, had this thing. So I don't know. Never used it. It's one of those cards I just flip face up when I have to pay for it costs. It's one of the first cards I do. This guy definitely went into him almost every game that I could. Just one of the best cards to be your first initial stride. Even if you went second, he's still really, really good. You just get the 2 free excel, get the draw 2, get the hit, nuke something on the board, nuke the graveyard a little bit. Yeah, just overall a good stride to go into. And then you have Voltage here. Never went into Voltage. Had him just in case I needed him, but I don't think I even remembered I had him in the deck. And then we got the other 2 cards I really went into. I went into Exterminate quite a bit, and then I went into Stunverse, obviously. And Exterminate, I never needed a 3rd copy. By the time you bring out their 2nd copy, they're usually dead. And if you do need like a 3rd copy, I guess you can go into Voltage, or you can go into something else. But yeah, never needed a 3rd copy, so I think that was fine there. And then we have the sort of the other one-ofs here, right? We have VMAX. Never went into him. I probably could have gone into him once or twice during the event, but I forgot his ability about the 5th damage, so I never went into him. This guy, I forgot about him too. I didn't remember what he did, so I didn't bother even thinking about it. GB8, I could have gone into a couple of times, but usually by the time I could go into, my opponent's already dead. When I had like 7 face-up, 7 face-up strides, they're basically already dead, and so I never got a chance to go into him. But yeah, he's definitely I think still good to play. And then finally we have the G Guardians. Basically have 2 of each. I went into this the most, if I can, just being able to defend yourself and hitting a rear guard. Even though you don't get to choose it, it's still really good. This, just for the bigger shield, you just need 3 Thunder Strike, I think. So used him like maybe once, and then used this guy once, and this guy kind of saved me. Well, not really saved me, but he did give me a huge shield when I needed to. And then we'll talk about that in a bit. If anything, I would probably bump this to 3 if you could. Use it the most, but if you do play 3 of it, then you probably have to play it in a way where you use it all at the same time. So that way, when it flips up the G Guardian, you're able to pay for all the costs for that. All right, so let's talk about some of the matchups I played against, right? So game one, like I said, it was a freebie, so didn't really count that. Game two, I played against a Dolt deck, I think, a Kagero Dolt. And I forget which version it is, but the main takeaway from that one was I got grade stuck at 1. So I think turn 1 I rode Demolition Dragon because I went first, and then he went. And then I just got greedy. Instead of G assist, I just played another Demolition Dragon and tried to swing in. He didn't block, so I drew 2 cards. I was like, all right, cool. Neither of those were the the grade 2 I needed. He attacked me. I damage checked my grade 2. Came back to my turn, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna need some help because I don't remember how to do a G assist or whatever you call it. So call over the judge, asked the judge how do I proceed to do a G assist, and he showed me how to do it. So like I told you, I don't really play the game that well, so or that much, so I didn't even remember how to do the basic ass mechanic. For as part of the game. So I G assist, I banished 2 cards in my hand, and I think I forgot what I grabbed. I think I grabbed a Zoltan, rolled the Zoltan over, and then just proceeded to, attack, draw a card. So that's what this thing kind of helped me. It helped me somewhat pay for the G assist too, just because I drew some cards. But I was behind, right? So I was behind on like 2 turns of just not riding correctly. I ended up getting into the Vanquisher, which is kind of nice. So it kind of put me back into the game a little bit as my first ride. And then, yeah, we just kind of traded back and forth. He almost kills me 1 turn, but I just had a lot of cards in hand. I was playing relatively conservative just because I was kind of biding my time to weaken his defense and try to get exterminate out as many times as possible, just to draw some cards and build up that my hand advantage. And eventually, I overcame his defenses and won won the second game. Okay, game 3. I think I played against. Let me think here. I think I played against Grand Blue. I'm not quite sure, but I believe that's what I played against. So, game 3, played against Grand Blue. I think he makes me go first. I lose a die roll. He makes me go first. So, he does get the crest stuff off. I don't exactly remember what the crest did, but he was getting, quite a lot of advantage, right? Because crest seems pretty good and pretty broken. The way I won that game, I believe, was I essentially did the combo on him. So I had Vanquisher, right? I think that game I also missed riding the Vanquisher, so I think I rolled Vowing first. But I was hitting his graveyard pretty hard anyways with the Demolition Dragon, so he didn't have too much in the graveyards, and he didn't really commit too much to the board. But once he did, I think 1 turn he did, he committed to the board, so I went into Descendant here, and then I strolled on top of Descendant with the Vowing, or the Stunverse, and that's how basically I won, right? And I just started throwing everything I had onto the board because I knew I was going to swing in for a bunch, and the only thing that would save him at that point would be to OT. If he didn't over trigger, then he's basically dead. So I did this, banished a bunch of stuff. I had like 4 Excel circles, right? So let's say these were my rear guards, right? So I swung in with all my rear guards, and then swung in with the Descendant here. And Descendant inherits the effects of Vowing. So I triggered his other effect, restand all of this, right? And now he's trying to defend this. He reduces attack to 0 or whatever, so it doesn't hit, right? So I said, okay, that's fine. I'll pay the cost, restand him again, attack with these guys. He does his blocks, whatever. And then I attack again with this, triggering him the Eradicator again. to restand these guys. And we had to call a judge over too, just to make sure that everything was, being played the way it's supposed to be played. And yeah, the judge confirmed that yeah, Descendant does inherit all these effects. And then Stunverse also gave Trick procs the Vowing Saber and all that, so we're all good. And even though I only had one Vowing on the board, because Descendant inherits the name of Vowing as the heart, I believe. We were able to kind of do that combo, and he went from basically 2 to 3 damage to basically dead in one turn. So yeah, that's how that combo kind of worked there. That's the only time I pulled it off, but it really did help. And he had his crest and everything too, so we were able to beat him that game. Game 4, I think I played against. Trying to remember. I think I played against. I get either Lukier deck or a Mermaid deck or some sort of Great Nature deck thing. Don't quite remember exactly what I played against, but I remember him doing a stun board where he would stun me for a turn or something like that. I had my Vanguard attacked, and then like I had like 2 rolls right here, right? So I had something like this. Like I don't exactly remember what the setup was, but let's just say it was like this, right? So we attacked. He hits his OT, right? And so I just passed on this. I didn't bother swinging with this. Then he goes, he stuns me. Okay, cool, whatever, right? My turn. I re-rolled my unit, right? Whatever it was, I don't remember. Um, and then I think I proceeded to just write exterminate on top of it because he didn't really have too many cards on the board. He only really had a couple of things, but basically, I think I either went exterminate or I went to Stunverse, and then just obliterated his board. Proceeded to swing in for a bunch of damage, and then he couldn't really, he tried to defend, right? So I think he was left alive. Turned after that, he didn't have too much, so he couldn't do too much, and then he just attacked. I defended. My turn comes around. He didn't have much on the board. I slapped down the exterminate and I think I proceeded to finish him off with the exterminate there. So that was game 4. Game 5, I played against D Police, I believe, and that game was a little rough because I didn't. It was rough in the sense that I didn't really know what the deck was doing. Well, then again, I didn't know any of the particular decks. Right, the entire weekend I was just going in blind. So, D Police, he was down on cards. He swings in with, I don't know whatever his stride was, but his stride was doing a drive check 5 times, and then if it hit like 80k or higher, it would restand and swing again with 1 drive. So in my hand, I had 1 perfect guard, and I had my OT in my hand, and a couple of heal triggers. So my thought process was, hey, I may not have enough to defend against his second attack because I'm pretty sure he's going to hit triggers to be able to meet his requirement to restand. So what I did was I went ahead and guarded like this. I pitched these 2 to get my guardian shields up. I think I got something like this, right? So this, and then I also guarded with the OT. So that gave me 50 power here, and this I think gave me 60. I believe this gave me 35 just because he didn't have any rear guards, so he was swinging with a lone Vanguard. So this gave me 35, and this gave me 25 because Thunderstrike 3. So this together right here was about 110, right? And I think I had Vowing or something as my Vanguard. So altogether, this was I was defending with 120,000, and he was sitting around like 75 or something like that when he was swinging in. So I was like, okay, he would need to hit like, I don't know, 5 triggers or whatever to pass me, and then or he would need to hit OT. So he goes 4 triggers. I think he gets 2, or he goes drive check 4 times, or 4 or 3 times. He gets like 1 or 2 triggers, and then on the 4th or the 5th drive check, he hits the OT. So that's where it kind of sucked for me because now I was only at 3 damage, maybe 3 damage. So now he's swinging in with an OT that doubled his crit. So he was already at 2 crits. So he went from 2 to 4 crit, and then he also drive check, another crit, so a total of 5 damage to me. So I was like, oh man, that kind of sucked, right? So I didn't heal enough. I died, lost that game. But had he not hit the OT, and he did hit the power, he stood up and swung again, I would have had a perfect guard to guard the last attack, and would have been fine there. Hindsight, yes, maybe I should have guarded the first attack with the perfect guard, but I thought, I had enough to defend with this, right? So in my thought process, like the only way he's going to beat me was with OT, and well, lo and behold, he got the OT. So it was kind of a risk I was taking for sure, but I thought it was a safer risk rather than trying to just perfect guard the first attack. But that's hindsight, right? So it is what it is. So that's the game I lost to Dimension Police. Game 6, I think I played against a deck that's called Harry. I don't know. It's I think it's Pale Moons or something. I don't quite remember. But I know it's another what do you call it? Another crest deck, I guess. So this crest deck, I think he misses his crest, but he also got a little greedy in the sense that he played something that gave him 2 Excel circles. So that, and then he also didn't really put anything in the Excel circle. So I think how I won was basically just using 2 exterminate, and so exterminate was drawing me 4 cards, and it was boosting my entire front row by 40,000, just because his empty Excel circles. So I think I went into this twice, and that's how I beat him. So he didn't get the crest off, and he sort of played a little greedily, and that kind of allowed me to punish him with the exterminate there. So that was my game 6, won that game. So game 7, I played against another deck. I think it's Mega Colony or Shiranui. I think it's Shiranui. It's the ninja deck where it forces you to guard from your hand or something like that, or he puts cards from your hand down and he attacks your Vanguard by dominating it. So I think that's the deck, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, I came into this event pretty blind, and I don't know any of the meta. Basically, he won that game. That's the game I lost to. So game 7 is where I lost. But in in my defense, right, I also misplayed. I think we're even in an advantage up until there was a big misplay. So what happened, right? So he had his Vanguard here. He had his, I guess, let's just say this is his crest, right? So he had his crest right here, and then his Vanguard was right here. When I played the game, when I used my stride, I usually just put it on top of my deck like this, right? But some people like to put their used strides next to their extra deck, or their deck, or down here or somewhere. What he did, which made me a little confused, right? It's nice of him that he put the crest here so I can read it, but he took one of his stride that he was using. It was the same stride, so he put it right here. And so this made me think that his stride was part of the board, right? It made me think this area that he flipped up his stride, this basically he was indicating that this was essentially used, right? So he put it like this, where I thought this was a stride. So he goes attack with Vanguard, and I used one of my grade 3 hill triggers to basically try to defend myself a little bit, right? I used the hill trigger to call out my Impala, or whatever you call it. Where is it? This guy, if I can find it, Impala, because I thought this was a rear guard. All he had on the board was just his Vanguard, I suppose, attacking with his Vanguard. So I used the Impala to try to defend, to retire this thing, and he goes, "Oh, this is just my face up stride that I use." I was like, "Oh, like I totally thought that was part of his board," and I let it slide, and I just accepted the state of the game at that point. He was a nice guy. Like, he probably would have let me take it back if I asked to. But at that point, I was just like, whatever, it's what is done is done, So I took the hit, and then lost my, lost my G guard, and as the game went on, where I could have used it to actually defend myself when he had the rear guards, unfortunately I didn't have it, and basically he just kind of overran me after a while. So he also got his crest off too. So it's a crest deck that he got his crest off, and he had a pretty good um, play pattern, and it's just one of those things where it was just my mistake. No one else to really blame there. I should have asked for clarification if I didn't understand his board state. But yeah, either way, I ended up getting 35th, and they told us to kind of wait at the side while they were deck checking the top 32 to make sure all the decks look good, and that if anyone had a mistake, then maybe one of a 33 to 36 would have been able to join right as part of the ranks top 32. But yeah, I thought I did pretty well. Despite everything, right? Got 35th out of like 400 players, not having played the game in almost like months, not knowing what I was playing against. I knew how to play my deck well. At least I thought I did, and I thought the ratios I had in my deck were good. I did some testing with my friends, so I'm familiar with my deck, although I'm pretty out of practice. And yeah, just playing the game like back and forth. And the thing I do like about Vanguard is like you don't really need all that much knowledge of your opponent's deck. It's not like there's too much interaction. There is some interaction between each player's turn, but for me, I just went, if you have interaction, you have it. I'm just gonna try to basically power through it, like brute force it. So the entire day, I was just trying to brute force my way through all my opponent's things and just ignoring what they did because I didn't know what any deck did, right, other than my deck. So I was just playing my deck like a beatdown deck where I placed Exterminate out, and then I had a bunch of Excel circles, 3 or 4 Excel circles, right? And then I just started slapping down a bunch of rear guards and just going, into the face. And it was like, all right, I'm gonna play aggressive. And yeah, most of the time it worked out. My opponents, I just didn't have cards in their hand because they're always defending. And then their turn, I can easily defend against them because they don't have any rear guards. If they did have rear guards, they got blown up by either Stunverse or any of my other um, rear guards that have locking abilities, or not locking abilities, binding abilities. So in the end, thought I did really well. Thought this deck was fun to play, even though it's not meta or tier. It's not a crest deck. It's not anything super special. I treat it like a beatdown deck, and because you can make big numbers easily in this deck. Big numbers, you are a kind of control because you do bind certain things. You bind a bit of the graveyard. You bind some of their rear guards, and then you just swing in for big numbers. So really, really simple deck to play. And I, made top 36, I guess, if you're going to put it that way. So I went 35th. And yeah, I think I did really well this weekend. I wouldn't mind taking this deck out and maybe getting a little bit more practice. If I got more practice, if I knew more of the meta, and if I didn't misplayed, then yes, I think definitely I could have probably top 32 there easily. And despite all that, though, I had a lot of fun that event. And I don't really play that many Bushiroad events because I had some pretty poor experiences with other Bushiroad events. I'll be honest, I don't like Bushiroad judges all that much sometimes. I feel like they're very, very nitpicky. Coming from myself, I'm also like a judge for different games, right? But it's just sometimes Bushiroad judges, they kind of rub me the wrong way, honestly, and I don't always enjoy that aspect of it, right? Bushiroad as a company itself, right? They're very strict on certain things. You can't like have competing, sleeves. You can't have competing, I get it, right? There's rules that you gotta play when you play at an event. I understand that, but sometimes it's just like, really, like you guys are really sticklers for certain things, that didn't make sense. So, anyways, that's a tangent for another time. Overall, thought this deck performed well. Thought I did well. Had a lot of fun. Turned off my brain for the weekend, I think, and just went unga boonga on my opponent and worked out pretty well. So maybe next time there's another team event or something, I'll go with my friends and we'll play, and maybe I'll make some changes to the deck. I don't know yet. But yeah, thought you guys would be curious as to, um, you know, to see my deck here. And I think I was probably one of the few, if only, Narukami decks in the entire day. I didn't really see any Narukami decks when I was walking around. Maybe one other person, but yeah, the clan's not that popular compared to some other clans. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.